Help! He's beating me! The scream pierced the rain-soaked night like a silver blade through darkness. Anthonia's face slammed against the wet pavement outside Luminaire Restaurant, blood mixing with rainwater as her husband's designer shoe connected with her ribs again. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. She was going to die in this alley behind the place where they'd just celebrated his promotion, and no one would care. But someone did hear. Someone whose own mate had died screaming those exact words 4 years ago. Someone whose wolf was howling for vengeance. And when Alpha Andre Kim stepped out of the shadows, his eyes flashing gold with barely contained rage, what he did next would shock everyone watching, including Anthonia herself. Before we continue, my 10-year-old daughter bet me I can't hit 1,000 subscribers in 10 days. Let's prove her wrong together. Hit that subscribe button and show her what this community can do. Drop a comment below with the city you're watching from. I want to see how far Anthonia's story reaches across the world. Now back to the story. 2 hours earlier, Anthonia had checked her reflection in the ladies' room mirror at Luminaire Restaurant, adjusting the silk scarf that hid the bruise on her collarbone. 6 years of this. 6 years of perfecting the smile, the laugh, the careful choreography of being Mrs. Paxton Miller. Her phone buzzed. "Don't embarrass me tonight. I mean it." She deleted the text with trembling fingers and returned to their table, where Paxton's colleagues were already seated. The evening had been going smoothly until the waiter, young, polite, completely oblivious, asked if she'd enjoyed her meal. "It was wonderful, thank you," Anthonia replied, her tone warm but professional. She saw it immediately, the tightening of Paxton's jaw, the way his knuckles whitened around his wine glass, the smile that didn't reach his eyes as he excused them both. "My wife isn't feeling well. We should go." His grip on her elbow was crushing as he steered her through the restaurant. "You flirted with him," he hissed. The rain had started, cold and relentless, as he dragged her past the valet stand toward the back alley. "I didn't..." His fist cut off her words. Then she was on the ground, tasting blood, and his designer shoe was connecting with her ribs once, twice, 3 times. "You think you can humiliate me? Make me look weak?" That's when she screamed it. "Help! He's beating me!" Blocks away, Andre Kim's head snapped up mid-stride. The scream hit him like a physical blow, dragging him back 4 years to another rainy night, another desperate cry he'd arrived too late to answer. His wolf surged forward, golden eyes blazing as he moved with supernatural speed through the downtown streets. Not again. Never again. He appeared at the mouth of the alley like a shadow given form. 6'3" of barely restrained violence, wrapped in a black leather jacket. His eyes flashed gold, and the air itself seemed to thicken with predatory energy. Paxton stumbled backward, his enhanced reflexes, courtesy of vampire blood he'd been buying on the black market, suddenly feeling inadequate. Andre crossed the distance in a heartbeat, lifting Paxton off the ground with one hand and slamming him against the brick wall. The growl that rumbled from Andre's chest wasn't human. "Touch her again," he said quietly, "and I'll forget I'm trying to be civilized." Paxton's survival instincts kicked in. He twisted free with unnatural speed and ran, disappearing into the rain-soaked streets. Andre let him go, his wolf howling for blood, every instinct screaming to hunt, to kill, to protect. But the woman on the ground needed him more. The pack house was warm, a sprawling estate hidden in the hills outside the city. Anthonia sat wrapped in blankets while a fierce-looking woman, with a scar running down her left cheek, examined her injuries with gentle hands. "I'm Maya," she said, "Beta of the Moonstone Pack. You're safe here." Safe. The word felt foreign. Anthonia's mind was still reeling from what Andre had told her during the drive. Werewolves, packs, supernatural beings living hidden among humans. It was impossible, except she'd seen his eyes flash gold, felt the power radiating from him. Dr. Reeves, the pack healer, frowned as he examined her ribs. These should take weeks to heal. But look, the bruising is already fading. Andre leaned against the doorframe, his dark eyes fixed on Anthonia with an intensity that made her breath catch. "There's something different about you," he said quietly. Later, when Maya had left and Dr. Reeves had gone to prepare a room, Andre told her about Isabella, his first mate, how he'd heard her scream 4 years ago and arrived 30 seconds too late, how he'd found her broken body and her abuser already fled. "I patrol the city every night," he said, his voice rough with old pain, listening, hoping I can save someone the way I couldn't save her. Anthonia felt it then, a pull toward the stranger who'd rescued her, something deeper than gratitude. "Why do I feel like I know you?" she whispered. Andre's expression softened, wonder mixing with wariness. "My wolf recognized you the moment I saw you. I don't understand it yet, but you're safe here. I promise you that." For the first time in 6 years, Anthonia believed she might actually be safe. But as she drifted toward sleep in a room that smelled of pine and earth, questions swirled. Why was she healing so fast? What was this inexplicable connection to Andre? And why did some part of her, a part she'd never known existed, feel like it was finally waking up? Morning sunlight flooded the pack house dining hall, where Anthonia found herself surrounded by more people than she'd spoken to in years. Jackson, the gamma and strategy expert, had kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. Elder Sage moved with the quiet authority of someone who'd seen centuries pass. And Cypher, the tech specialist who looked barely 20, was already pulling up information on multiple screens while balancing a plate of eggs. "You're among family now," Maya said, squeezing Anthonia's shoulder. And somehow, impossibly, it felt true. So Anthonia told them everything. 6 years of Paxton controlling every dollar she spent, every friend she saw, every word she spoke. How he'd isolated her from her family, convinced her she was worthless, that no one else would ever want her. The psychological torture disguised as concern, the bruises hidden beneath designer labels. Cypher's fingers flew across his keyboard. "Found something," he said, his young face grave. "Your husband owes $200,000 to Dominic Ashford, vampire lord, blood debt from underground gambling rings." He pulled up surveillance footage, Paxton entering shadowy clubs, drinking from vials of crimson liquid. "He's been enhancing himself with vampire blood. That's how he moved so fast last night." The message arrived an hour later, delivered by a pale courier who vanished before anyone could question him. Andre's jaw clenched as he read it aloud. 72 hours. Deliver the woman, or your pack burns. The video call that followed was worse. Dominic Ashford appeared on the screen, silver-haired, ageless, with eyes like frozen lakes. "Hello, Anthonia," he purred. "I've been watching you for weeks. Your pathetic husband was merely bait to keep you contained until I was ready. Now come to me willingly, or everyone you've just started to care about dies screaming." "You can't seriously be considering this," Anthonia said as Andre paced the war room. "I won't let you hand me over to some vampire." The lights flickered. Objects rattled on the shelves. Andre stopped mid-stride as Anthonia's eyes flashed gold for a heartbeat before returning to their normal color. "What was that?" she whispered, staring at her trembling hands. Dr. Reeves ran the test 3 times before he believed the results. You have dormant shifter DNA, he said slowly. Hybrid bloodline, extremely rare. Your mother's side carried diluted wolf genetics. You probably never knew. Anthonia's mind reeled. Everything about her marriage suddenly made horrible sense. Paxton sensed it, Andre said quietly. Unconsciously feared what you could become. So he broke you down, kept you small, controllable. The second message came 24 hours later, shortening the deadline to 48 hours. Worse, Cypher's surveillance showed Paxton being dragged into Blackwood Estate, Dominic's fortress. There are others, Cypher said, his voice shaking. 50+ prisoners in the basement. Humans, supernaturals. He's trafficking them. Blood farming. Forced labor. Sales to the highest bidder. Elder Sage spread an ancient text across the table, her weathered fingers tracing symbols that seemed to glow faintly. There's a prophecy, she said. A hybrid Luna born of 2 worlds, forged in suffering, who will unite the fractured packs. Anthonia, you match every detail. Andre's expression darkened. That's why Dominic wants her. He'll use her bloodline to break the supernatural treaty, start a war, control her power for his own ends. Then we teach her to control it first, Maya said. In the training yard, Anthonia felt something wild stirring beneath her skin as Maya walked her through defensive stances. Again, Maya commanded, and when she threw the punch, Anthonia's hands changed, claws extending, sharp and lethal. Anthonia gasped, caught between terror and exhilaration. Maya's scarred face softened. I survived a rogue pack's abuse, she said quietly. Thought I was broken forever, but this... She gestured to the training yard, the pack, her own strength. This saved me. Your power is yours, Anthonia. Never let anyone take it again. The final message was delivered at dawn. Come to Blackwood Estate alone, or Paxton dies along with every prisoner. And if you refuse, I expose the supernatural world to humanity. The consequences would be catastrophic. Worldwide panic, war, extinction. I'm going, Anthonia said. Andre's eyes flashed gold. I can't lose another mate. I'm not Isabella. Anthonia's voice cracked with power, the windows rattling. I'm not helpless anymore. And those people in that basement, they're screaming the same way I screamed 2 days ago. I won't abandon them. She demonstrated control, shifting her hands partially, pulling the transformation back, channeling the energy with Maya's coaching. Andre finally nodded, his expression a mixture of pride and fear. We infiltrate together. You go in as a willing exchange. Then we attack with backup from 3 neighboring packs. That night, Andre found her on the balcony overlooking the forest. Mate bonds are sacred, he said softly. Fated pairs connected across soul, mind, and body. My wolf knew you the moment I saw you. Anthonia felt the pull intensifying, that inexplicable certainty. I feel it too. It's more than gratitude. It's like you've been waiting for me your whole life. Andre finished. He took her hands. On Isabella's memory, I won't fail you. The partial bond settled between them, acknowledged, accepted, not yet fully consummated, but absolutely real. Anthonia met his gaze, no longer the broken woman from the alley. Then let's go save them. All of them. The pack house became a war room. 24 hours before the infiltration, weapons were distributed, strategies mapped, communication systems tested. Anthonia spent the day in intensive training, learning to sense the cold, hollow signature of vampires versus the warm pulse of werewolves, practicing control over the power that surged beneath her skin like electricity. Your fear is valid, Maya said, watching Anthonia's hands tremble as claws extended and retracted. Use it. Don't let it use you. Night fell with the full moon rising, bathing everything in silver light that made every werewolf stronger, sharper, deadlier. The multi-pack force moved into position around Blackwood Estate, like shadows converging. Maya led the north team, Jackson the south. Cypher monitored everything from a mobile command center hidden in the woods, his screens showing thermal signatures and guard positions. Andre and Anthonia walked toward the main entrance, her hand cold in his. Ready? He murmured. She nodded, feeling the mate bond humming between them like a living wire. Blackwood Estate rose before them, a Gothic mansion of dark stone and iron gates, ancient and intimidating. Vampire guards lined the entrance, their eyes tracking every movement with predatory calculation. They were escorted through halls of opulent decay, luxury mixed with menace, until they reached the throne room. Dominic Ashford sat waiting, silver hair gleaming in candlelight, ageless face carved with aristocratic cruelty. He'd been alive for centuries, and it showed in the patient way he smiled. Anthonia, he purred, rising with inhuman grace. At last. Come, let me show you why you're so valuable. He gestured to monitors displaying the basement, 50-plus beings crammed in cages like animals. Humans, werewolves, fae, witches, all trapped, all hopeless. Anthonia's stomach turned, then guards dragged Paxton into the room, chains binding his wrists, blood enhancement fading to reveal the broken man beneath. He looked at Anthonia with something complicated, love twisted with shame, terror mixed with regret. I'm sorry, he whispered. He paid me to marry you. 6 years ago. Said he suspected your bloodline, needed someone to keep you contained, weak, unable to discover what you were. Anthonia felt the world tilt. Every moment of abuse suddenly had another dimension. Paxton's natural cruelty weaponized by a monster. Dominic's smile widened. Your hybrid blood is the key to an ancient ritual. With it, I can grant vampires dominance over all supernatural species. Break the treaty. Start a new era. You're not a person, my dear. You're a key, and I intend to use you. Andre's body tensed, eyes flashing gold as his wolf demanded he shift, attack, protect his mate. But Anthonia's voice sounded in his mind through their bond. Trust me. I have a plan. He froze, every instinct screaming, but he forced himself to choose trust over protection. Anthonia turned to Dominic, her voice steady. Show me the prisoners. Prove they're real and alive. Then I'll cooperate. Dominic laughed, genuinely amused. Very well. They descended into the basement dungeons, and the horror exceeded imagination. Beings huddled in filth and darkness, some barely alive. And there, in the corner cage, a young girl, maybe 10, with terror in her eyes that Anthonia recognized. She'd worn that same expression for 6 years. Something inside her broke open. Not fear. Rage. Pure, incandescent fury. The power surge hit like a shockwave. Lights exploded. Cages rattled. Anthonia's eyes blazed gold as claws extended from her fingers, her body beginning to shift. Andre threw back his head and howled, the attack signal that echoed across the estate grounds. All hell broke loose. Werewolves poured through breached walls and shattered windows. Vampires met them in brutal combat, ancient enemies colliding in a storm of violence. Anthonia fought beside Andre, her hybrid instincts guiding her. She could sense life forces like beacons, feel energy flowing through the air, redirect attacks before they landed. wolf strength combined with something more, something elemental. Paxton broke his chains with the last remnants of blood enhancement, and Anthonia braced for his attack. Instead, he turned on Dominic's lieutenant, buying them precious seconds. "Run! Get them out!" he screamed. And then a crossbow bolt meant for Anthonia punched through his chest. He fell, blood spreading across ancient stone. Dominic faced Andre in the throne room, vampire speed blurring against alpha strength. But the vampire lord was centuries old, impossibly powerful, and Andre was losing. Anthonia felt it through the mate bond, felt his pain, his fear, his determination, and something inside her transformed completely. The shift took her fully for the first time. Wolf form, with silver auburn fur, larger than any normal she-wolf, energy crackling around her like lightning. The mate bond exploded into full activation. She channeled power through Andre. He provided raw strength, and together they moved as one being. Their combined assault overwhelmed even Dominic's ancient power. The vampire lord fell, subdued but alive. Supernatural law required trial, not execution. Pack members flooded the basement, breaking cages, carrying survivors to medical teams waiting outside. Children reunited with weeping families. The Supernatural Council's Enforcement Division arrived to take Dominic into custody. Blackwood Estate was secured. They found Paxton barely breathing, rushed him to the medical facility, while Anthonia stood torn between 6 years of abuse and one moment of redemption. But then Andre pulled her close, and the mate bond snapped fully into place. Physical, emotional, spiritual connection, complete and unbreakable. "I feel you in my soul," he whispered against her hair. Anthonia looked at the freed prisoners, at the pack surrounding them, at the man whose wolf had claimed her as its own. She'd spent 6 years afraid. Not anymore. "I'm not afraid," she said, and meant it. Of anything. 48 hours after Blackwood Estate fell, the Supernatural Council convened an emergency session. Andre and his pack were cleared. Self-defense, rescue operations, all justified under treaty law. Dominic faced tribunal, and centuries of crimes spilled into the light. The Shadow Syndicate's network stretched across 7 territories, trafficking operations exposed, corrupt council members arrested. Justice, finally, for thousands. Paxton survived, but barely. The blood enhancement had faded, leaving him permanently damaged and entirely human. He faced the supernatural justice system from a medical ward bed, and Anthonia had to testify. Walking into that room was the hardest thing she'd ever done. He looked small now, broken in ways that had nothing to do with his injuries. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," he said quietly. "You're right," Anthonia replied, her voice steady. "You don't. But I deserve peace." And then she detailed it all. Every abuse, every trauma, every moment he'd made her feel worthless. No protection, no minimizing, just truth spoken aloud for the record. Paxton's remorse seemed genuine, too late, but real. He gave them more names, revealed the larger network, cooperated fully. 20 years in supernatural prison, the council decreed, with possibility of redemption through service. "You'll work with us to dismantle what remains of the syndicate." Anthonia stood for her final statement. "I'm not afraid of you anymore. I'm not even the same species." Paxton's last words followed her out. "I'll spend forever making amends, not for forgiveness. I know that's impossible. For balance." The pack voted unanimously to accept her as Luna, but Elder Sage explained the traditions. 3 trials to prove wisdom, strength, and sacrifice. Anthonia's nerves returned. She was still so new to this world. But when she visited the recovered trafficking victims, meeting Sarah, a young hybrid with a story too similar to her own, something crystallized. "You saved us," Sarah said. "What happens to us now?" Anthonia realized rescue was only the beginning. These survivors needed ongoing support, protection, purpose. The vision developed organically. Luna's haven, sanctuaries across territories for abuse survivors, both supernatural and human. Not just shelter, but empowerment, training, community. "This is exactly what packs should do," Maya said fiercely. Andre smiled. "You're already thinking like a Luna." He took her to Isabella's memorial garden, where flowers grew in careful rows. "Am I a replacement?" Anthonia asked, voicing the fear she'd carried. Andre's expression softened. "You're not a replacement. You're a second chance. For both of us." He explained that Isabella would have loved the Haven idea, that her death wasn't in vain if it led to this. Permission to move forward without forgetting. The Luna trials began under the full moon. First came Wisdom, 2 wolves in a territory dispute, both with valid claims. Anthonia listened deeply, drawing on her own experience of powerlessness to find empathy, crafting a creative solution that satisfied both parties. True wisdom comes from understanding pain, Elder Sage acknowledged. The strength trial was brutal. Combat in wolf form against Maya, Jackson, and another senior warrior. Anthonia was outmatched in experience, but her hybrid abilities gave her advantages. Energy sensing, adaptive fighting, speed that surprised even her opponents. She didn't win, but earned respect through sheer tenacity. Maya finally yielded. "I've taught her everything I know. She's ready." The sacrifice trial broke her open. A magical simulation forced her to relive the worst moments with Paxton. Every blow, every cruel word, every night she'd wanted to disappear. Then came the offer. Forget it all. Erase the pain. Start fresh. Or keep the memories and use them for strength. Anthonia's choice was immediate. "My past made me who I am. I won't erase it. I'll transform it." She shattered the illusion through pure willpower. Ceremony night arrived with the full moon high. The entire pack gathered, 7 neighboring packs sending representatives. Anthonia wore traditional Luna ceremonial attire as Andre performed the ancient bonding ritual, publicly declaring their mate bond. The pack's magical energy flowed through her, like a river finding its course, and she transformed, became true Luna, linked to every pack member, feeling their hearts beating in synchrony with her own. The private ceremony followed, and the mating completed fully. Physical, spiritual, magical union that left them breathless. The mate mark appeared on her shoulder, a silver wolf print that matched Andre's gold one. They could feel each other's emotions now, absolute connection that went beyond words. Anthonia's hybrid wolf form stabilized, grew more powerful, and she was finally completely integrated into the supernatural world. But during the ceremony, as energy surged through her, Anthonia had a vision. Something ancient awakening, drawn by her bloodline, a bigger danger coming, threats she couldn't yet name. She felt Andre's concern through the bond, but also his certainty they would face it together. Tonight was for celebration. Tomorrow would bring its own battles. She looked out at her pack, at the survivors she'd helped save, at the mate whose wolf had chosen her in an alley behind a restaurant. 6 years of abuse had led her here, not despite the pain, but transformed by it. "What are you thinking?" Andre murmured. Anthonia smiled, feeling the power humming beneath her skin, the pack's love surrounding her, the future unfolding like a promise. I'm thinking I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. 3 months later, Luna's Haven Network held its groundbreaking ceremony in neutral territory between pack lands. The modern facility gleamed with promise. Counseling rooms, training areas, living quarters, a full medical wing. Funded by pack resources and supernatural council grants, it represented something unprecedented. Anthonia stood as director, Maya as head of security, both watching as the first residents arrived. 5 survivors came that opening week, 3 supernatural, 2 human, each carrying devastating stories written in their eyes. Anthonia greeted them personally at the door. "I was you 3 months ago," she said to a trembling werewolf woman whose mate had broken her arm in 3 places. "You're safe now, and you're stronger than you know." Sarah became assistant director, her peer support invaluable. Anthonia led with empathy balanced by boundaries, compassion without enabling, strength without harshness. Not everyone celebrated. Traditional pack leaders called it weakness to help humans. Vampire covens viewed the werewolf initiative with suspicion. Some saw a power grab disguised as charity. Anonymous threats arrived, letters, vandalism, a break-in attempt that Maya's enhanced security and supernatural wards repelled. But the Haven stood. The Supernatural Council wanted Anthonia as Luna representative, first hybrid to hold the position, a symbol of unity between species. She was torn between the Haven that needed her and the larger cause. "You can do both," Andre said simply. "You're strong enough." She accepted. Her first council session was a baptism by fire. An old vampire council member sneered, "Your kind is abomination." Anthonia's response came without hesitation. "My kind survived what should have destroyed us. That's not abomination. That's evolution." She proposed the Supernatural Survivor Protection Act, funding for Haven expansion, legal protections, enforcement mechanisms. The resistance was fierce, but unexpected allies emerged. Then Paxton's letter arrived from prison. Pages detailing trafficking networks beyond Dominic's reach, routes through 7 territories, names of corrupt council members, rogue pack alphas, vampire covens, information that could save hundreds. It also contained a personal apology, detailed, specific, painful to read. Anthonia's reaction was complex, not forgiveness, but acknowledgement that people could change, even when it was too late. The poisoning attempt came without warning. Silver poisoning, lethal to werewolves, and Andre was dying. Anthonia's terror overwhelmed everything. She'd just found him. Couldn't lose him now. The mate bond let her share his pain, and instinct drove her to absorb some of the poison herself. "This should kill you both," Dr. Reeves said, horrified. But Anthonia's hybrid physiology processed toxins Andre couldn't handle. She saved his life by nearly dying herself. Recovery revealed new power levels. Rage at the attack on her mate unleashed dormant abilities. She could sense syndicate members within miles now, track the assassin through his energy signature alone. The confrontation was terrifying in its swiftness. The assassin yielded, provided information on remaining cells. Word spread fast. Luna is not to be trifled with. During recovery, Dr. Reeves discovered something else. Anthonia was pregnant. Hybrid pregnancy, extremely rare. Twins detected, unprecedented in supernatural medical records. Complications expected, dangerous for a hybrid mother. "I've never seen this," Dr. Reeves admitted. "I don't know what will happen." Council medical advisors recommended termination. too risky for the Luna, for political stability. Andre left the choice entirely to Anthonia. Whatever you decide, I support you. Her answer was immediate. I spent 6 years having my choices taken away. Never again. She would keep her babies, survive, protect them. No one would take this from her. Despite pregnancy risks, she pushed the haven forward. 3 more sanctuaries opened. Partnerships formed with human domestic violence organizations. Training programs turned survivors into advocates. Employment networks provided independent income. Legal aid facilitated escape and protection. Anthonia was everywhere. Speeches, fundraisers, consultations, pushing herself too hard. Maya and Andre intervened. You're pregnant with twins. You need rest. Anthonia resisted. Too much to do. Too many people counting on her. The haven needs you alive, Andre said quietly. They compromised. She learned to delegate, accept help, understand that leadership wasn't doing everything yourself. The pack's response to the pregnancy announcement mixed joy with concern. First hybrid heirs to an alpha bloodline, historical significance that everyone felt. The pack became collectively protective. I'm pregnant, not fragile, Anthonia protested, but secretly she was grateful for their support. Using Paxton's information, the council planned a final strike against remaining syndicate leadership hiding in a remote compound. Anthonia wanted to participate. Andre absolutely refused. You're pregnant. I'm also Luna, she countered. My responsibility. They compromised. Remote coordination from a command center, not field work. The multi-territory task force moved in at dawn. Anthonia directed operations remotely, her intelligence proving crucial, her ability to sense supernaturals giving them tactical advantages. 3 vampires, North Corridor, she said into the comm. Hybrid prisoner, second basement, northwest corner. Her guidance was flawless. The last syndicate leaders fell to coordinated assault. The network was finally, completely destroyed. Paxton's information vindicated. Early release would be considered. That night, Andre found Anthonia on the haven's balcony, one hand resting on her still flat stomach. We did it, she said softly. The syndicate's gone. The haven is growing. And we're having twins. Andre pulled her close, careful of her condition. 4 months ago, you were screaming in an alley. 4 months ago, Anthonia replied. I didn't know I could be this strong. She felt the baby's flutter, impossibly early, but unmistakable. Or that I could be this afraid and this brave at the same time. That's what makes you Luna, Andre said. Not the power, the courage to use it. 1 year later, Anthonia stood heavily pregnant, days from delivery, surveying what they'd built. Luna's Haven network now operated 7 sanctuaries across territories. The Supernatural Survivor Protection Act had passed council. Mandatory reporting, enhanced penalties, survivor support funding written into law. The statistics told their own story. 5,000 beings helped in the first year. All supernatural species represented. 73% successfully independent within 6 months. 0 recidivism. And 40 survivors now working as advocates. The Haven had become a model program for the supernatural world. Her final council appearance before delivery required a waddle to the podium, visibly pregnant, but her voice rang clear. When I screamed, an alpha answered. Now we answer every scream. The speech covered survivor rights, pack responsibility, the fundamental obligation to protect the vulnerable. Even former opponents rose in standing ovation. respect earned through undeniable results. Paxton's parole hearing came 3 years into his 20-year sentence. Early release consideration based on cooperation. Anthonia testified, supporting conditional release despite everything. He's not the man who hurt me. He became someone else. Whether it lasts, I don't know. But he's earned a chance. The conditions were strict. Continued cooperation, haven service, therapy, no contact with Anthonia. Parole granted, and he was released into the haven's supervised service program. The unexpected encounter happened weeks later. Paxton assigned to maintenance work, Anthonia visiting, and suddenly they were face to face for the first time since trial. Tension crackled, awkwardness, pain that would never fully heal. But his change seemed genuine, working humbly, making no demands, expecting nothing. "I don't forgive you," Anthonia said finally, "but I don't hate you either. I just don't think about you anymore." Paxton nodded, something like peace in his damaged expression. "That's more than I deserve. I'll spend my life making sure others don't do what I did." Andre took Anthonia to Isabella's memorial garden, where she placed flowers with careful hands. "Thank you for teaching him how to love. I promise to treasure it." Andre's voice was thick with emotion. "She'd be proud of you, of the haven, of everything." The past honored, the future embraced, and a sense of completion settling over them both. The twins came 2 weeks early with complications that terrified everyone. Hybrid physiology made everything unpredictable. Dr. Reeves led a full medical team while Andre stayed beside Anthonia, the mate bond helping him absorb and manage her pain. The pack gathered outside in collective anxiety, 14 hours of labor that felt like eternity. Isabella Marie Kim was born first, honoring the mate Andre had lost. Kieran Andre Kim followed minutes later. Both healthy, hybrid traits immediately visible, eyes flashing gold when they cried, already showing signs of supernatural strength. The first documented hybrid twin birth in supernatural history, a medical miracle and phenomenon that would be studied for generations. Pack howls of celebration echoed for miles. In the private moment after, Andre and Anthonia held their babies, exhausted and overwhelmed and perfectly happy. 4 years ago, I thought my life was over, Anthonia whispered. 4 years ago, I didn't believe in second chances, Andre replied. They looked at their children. Our future. 4 years later, the Luna's Haven 4th Anniversary Gala showcased how far they'd come. Anthonia stood on stage, no longer the broken woman from the alley, but confident, powerful, graceful. Isabella and Kieran, now 4 years old, played with pack pups in the corner, while Andre watched his family with fierce pride. 4 years ago, I screamed for help in an alley, Anthonia told the crowd of survivors, supporters, and council members. An alpha with golden eyes answered, but he didn't save me. He gave me the chance to save myself. She reviewed the journey: abuse, rescue, discovery, battle, transformation. The Haven now operated 12 sanctuaries, had helped 12,000 beings. Every person here proves that survival is possible, that life after abuse is not just endurance, it's thriving. Sarah took the stage, now Haven Regional Director. I was in a cage. Luna Anthonia showed me the cage door was always open. I just needed to believe I could walk through it. Other survivors followed with stories of rebuilding, education, new relationships, purpose found. The common theme: the Haven gave them foundation, but they built the rest themselves. After the formal gala, the pack celebration was casual and joyful. Isabella and Kieran shifted for the first time. young but powerful, their hybrid nature evident in the silver and gold shimmer of their fur. Maya grinned. I trained their mother, now I'll train them. Jackson groaned. God help us all. On the balcony, Anthonia and Andre watched the festivities below, their children playing with pack family. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't heard me scream? She asked. Andre pulled her close. Every day. But then I remember, it wasn't chance. It was fate. My wolf knew you were mine before I did, Anthonia smiled. Your wolf has good instincts. He learned from the best Luna. The emergency alert shattered the moment. New abuse case reported young woman, supernatural, desperate. Anthonia and Maya's eyes met across the crowd. The Haven team mobilized immediately. Anthonia turned to Andre. I have to go. He kissed her. No hesitation. I know. That's who you are. Come back to me, he said. Always, she promised. Minutes later, Anthonia and Maya were in the tactical vehicle, racing toward another scream in the darkness. 4 years ago, Anthonia had been the one screaming. Now she was the answer. The cycle continued, breaking chains, building strength, transforming pain into purpose. The Haven's work would never truly be done, but that was okay. Because every survivor saved was another chance given, another life reclaimed, another scream answered in the night. And Luna Anthonia Paxton Kim, former victim, hybrid warrior, pack mother, would answer every single one.